I always thought my life was perfect. I had a beautiful wife, a successful career, and a lovely home. We had been together for over 10 years, and I couldn't have asked for more. Our relationship seemed like a dream come true. She was not only gorgeous, but also a fantastic cook. Our physical relationship was electrifying, and our everyday life felt like a fairy tale. However, life has a way of revealing its hidden cracks when you least expect it. The first signs were subtle. She started coming home late from work more often. At first, it was a rare occurrence, and she always had a reasonable explanation. Meetings running late, traffic jams, or simply having to catch up on work. I didn't think much of it, but as these late returns became more frequent, I couldn't help but feel a pang of suspicion. Her behavior began to change. She was distant, less affectionate, and seemed preoccupied. There were strange calls at odd hours that she would either ignore or answer in hushed tones. Whenever I asked about it, she would dismiss my concerns with a casual wave, claiming it was work-related or a wrong number. I wanted to believe her, but doubt started creeping in. One evening, after another late return, we sat down for dinner. The silence was heavy, filled with unspoken words and lingering tension. I decided it was time to address the elephant in the room. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady but firm. She looked up from her plate, her expression unreadable. "About what?" "About us. About what's been going on lately. You've been distant, and I feel like I don't even know you anymore." She sighed, pushing her food around with her fork. "It's just work stress. I've been under a lot of pressure." "Is it really just work?" I asked, my heart pounding in my chest. "Or is there something else you're not telling me?" Her eyes flashed with irritation. "I can't believe you're accusing me of something. After all these years, you should know me better than that." But I didn't feel reassured. The doubt gnawed at me, relentless and consuming. I started paying more attention to the details, looking for any clue that might explain her behavior. I checked her phone bills, looked through her messages, but found nothing concrete. Yet, the feeling that something was amiss wouldn't leave me. Our conversations became strained, punctuated by arguments and accusations. She would get defensive, accusing me of being paranoid and controlling. I felt trapped in a cycle of suspicion and denial, unable to break free. My work started to suffer as I spent more time obsessing over the situation at home. One night, after another heated argument, I decided to follow her. She had mentioned going out with some colleagues after work, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. I waited in my car near her office, watching as she left the building. She didn't head towards the usual bar where she said she'd be. Instead, she drove to a quiet restaurant on the outskirts of town. I parked a few blocks away and watched as she entered the restaurant. Through the window, I saw her meeting a man I didn't recognize. They hugged, their embrace lingering longer than necessary. My heart sank, and a wave of nausea washed over me. I couldn't watch anymore. That night I confronted her. I told her what I had seen, expecting her to deny it or come up with another excuse. But instead, she broke down in tears, confessing to the affair. She tried to explain, saying it had started as a mistake, something she never meant to happen. But it was clear that it wasn't just a one-time thing. We spent hours talking, or rather, shouting at each other. The trust that had once been the foundation of our relationship was shattered. She admitted that she felt unfulfilled, that our life together had become monotonous and predictable. She said she needed excitement, something new and different. I was devastated. I had given her everything, or so I thought. But it was clear that something had been missing, something I hadn't noticed. The betrayal cut deep, and I didn't know how to move forward. We agreed to take some time apart, hoping that a separation might help us figure things out. During our time apart, I tried to focus on my own healing. I turned to drinking, using alcohol as a crutch to numb the pain. My friends and family noticed the change in me, offering their support and advice. They told me to move on, to find someone who appreciated me for who I was. But it wasn't that simple. The memories of our life together haunted me, and I couldn't let go. Dear viewers, more than 90% watch my content without subscribing. If you still have not subscribed, then I ask you to do so. For me, this is the best motivation to continue. In the quiet moments, I found myself reflecting on our relationship, trying to understand where things had gone wrong. I realized that I had been too focused on providing materially, thinking that a nice house and a comfortable life were enough. I had overlooked the emotional connection, the little moments that made our bond strong. After a few months, we met again to discuss our future. She seemed different, more distant and cold. She talked about wanting to focus on her career, to pursue her own dreams and ambitions. It was clear that our paths were diverging, and there was no going back to the way things were. We decided to divorce, and the process was painful and drawn out. As we divided our assets and untangled our lives, the bitterness and resentment grew. She accused me of holding her back, of not supporting her dreams. I felt betrayed and abandoned, struggling to come to terms with the end of our marriage. After the divorce was finalized, I hit rock bottom. I spent my days in a haze of alcohol, trying to drown out the pain. My career suffered, and I withdrew from friends and family. I felt lost, unable to find a way forward. But slowly, things began to change. I started attending therapy, talking to a professional about my feelings and experiences. It was a long and difficult process, but it helped me gain some perspective. I realized that I needed to let go of the past and focus on rebuilding my life. I reconnected with old friends, started new hobbies, and began to take better care of myself. The road to recovery was slow and filled with setbacks, but I was determined to move forward. I learned to appreciate the small things in life, to find joy in the everyday moments. Looking back, I realized that my wife's affair had been a wake-up call. It forced me to confront my own shortcomings and reevaluate my priorities. I understood that material possessions and a comfortable life were not enough to sustain a relationship. Emotional connection, communication, and mutual support were crucial. In time, I found myself again. I became stronger, more self-aware, and more appreciative of the people and things that truly mattered. I learned to trust again, to open my heart to the possibility of new love. The scars of the past remained, but they no longer defined me. I often thought about my ex-wife, wondering if she had found what she was looking for. I hoped that she had, that she was happy and fulfilled. There were moments when I felt a twinge of regret, but I knew that our paths had diverged for a reason. Our story had begun like a fairy tale. We met in college, drawn to each other by an inexplicable connection. She was the life of every party, her laughter infectious, her smile captivating. I was smitten from the start. We shared dreams of a future together, dreams that seemed bright and full of promise. Our chemistry was undeniable, both emotionally and physically. It felt like we were made for each other. The early years of our marriage were filled with joy and adventure. We traveled, explored new places, and built a life that was the envy of our friends. She had a knack for turning our house into a home, her culinary skills adding a touch of magic to our everyday meals. Our intimate moments were passionate and fulfilling, reinforcing the bond we shared. However, as time went on, the demands of life began to take their toll. My career required long hours, and her job also became more demanding. We found ourselves spending less time together, our interactions becoming more about the logistics of daily life rather than genuine connection. I failed to see the signs that our once vibrant relationship was starting to fade. The turning point came when she received a promotion at work. It was a position she had worked hard for, and I was genuinely happy for her. But with the promotion came more responsibilities and longer hours. She started attending networking events and business dinners, often coming home late. I tried to be supportive, but the growing distance between us was undeniable. Our conversations became superficial, and we started avoiding the deeper, more meaningful discussions that had once been the cornerstone of our relationship. I began to feel like I was living with a stranger. Her absence was felt not just physically, but emotionally as well. I missed the woman who had once been my confidant, my partner in every sense of the word. One night, I decided to surprise her at one of her business dinners. I thought it might rekindle some of the spark that seemed to be fading. I dressed up and made my way to the restaurant she had mentioned. As I walked in, I scanned the room, searching for her. When I finally spotted her, my heart sank. She was seated at a table in the corner, laughing and leaning in close to a man I didn't recognize. Dear viewers, I ask you to subscribe to the channel under this video. I will be very grateful to you. The scene felt surreal, like something out of a nightmare. I stood frozen, unable to move or react. When she noticed me, her smile faded, and she quickly excused herself from the table. She approached me, her expression a mix of surprise and guilt. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice tinged with panic. I wanted to surprise you, I replied, struggling to keep my voice steady. But it seems I'm the one who's surprised? She tried to explain, to downplay the situation, but the damage was done. The trust that had been the bedrock of our relationship was now fractured. That night marked the beginning of a painful journey of discovery and betrayal. As the days went by, I became more vigilant. I started noticing things I had previously ignored: the secretive phone calls, the unexplained absences, the sudden need for privacy. My suspicions grew, and I confronted her again, demanding the truth. She confessed, reluctantly at first, but eventually the full extent of her infidelity came to light. It wasn't just a single affair. There had been multiple instances, each one a blow to my already fragile heart. She claimed that she felt neglected, that our marriage had become stagnant. She sought excitement and validation elsewhere. I was devastated. The woman I had loved and trusted had betrayed me in the worst possible way. The life we had built together seemed like a lie. I couldn't understand how we had reached this point. What had I done wrong? How had I failed to see the signs? We decided to try counseling, hoping that professional help might salvage our marriage. The sessions were intense and emotionally draining. We dug deep into our issues, airing grievances and hurts that had festered over the years. The therapist tried to guide us towards understanding and healing, but it was an uphill battle. Through therapy, I learned a lot about myself and my role in the breakdown of our marriage. I had been so focused on providing for us materially that I had neglected the emotional and relational aspects. I had taken her for granted, assuming that our love was unshakable. But love requires constant nurturing and effort, something I had failed to do. Despite our efforts, the wounds were too deep, the trust too shattered. We reached a point where we had to make a difficult decision. Staying together out of a sense of duty or fear of the unknown would only prolong our misery. We agreed that it was time to part ways. The divorce process was agonizing. We had to untangle our lives, divide our assets, and navigate the emotional minefield of separating after so many years together. There were moments of intense anger and bitterness, but also moments of reflection and understanding. We both had regrets, but we also knew that this was the best path forward. After the divorce was finalized, I found myself adrift. The life I had known was gone, and I had to rebuild from the ground up. I continued therapy, focusing on my own healing and growth. I stopped drinking, realizing that it was only a temporary escape that did more harm than good. I started exercising, eating better, and rediscovering the hobbies and interests I had abandoned over the years. Reconnecting with old friends was a lifeline. They reminded me of who I was before the marriage, before the betrayal. Their support and encouragement helped me see that life could still be meaningful and fulfilling. I also made new friends, people who had no connection to my past and could see me for who I was in the present. I threw myself into my work, finding solace in the routine and sense of accomplishment it provided. I took on new challenges and projects, pushing myself to excel. My career flourished, and I began to regain my confidence and sense of purpose. As time passed, the pain of the betrayal began to fade. It didn't disappear completely, but it became a part of my story rather than defining it. I started dating again, cautiously at first. The experience was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. I had to learn to trust again, to open my heart to the possibility of new love. I met several women, each with their own unique qualities and quirks. Some dates were disastrous, others promising. I took things slow, not wanting to rush into anything serious. I wanted to make sure that I had truly healed and was ready for a new relationship. In my interactions with these women, I was more mindful of my own needs and boundaries. I communicated more openly and honestly, not wanting to repeat the mistakes of the past. I learned to listen, to be present, and to appreciate the little moments that make a relationship special. Through these experiences, I gained a deeper understanding of what I wanted in a partner and in a relationship. I realized the importance of compatibility, shared values, and mutual respect. I wanted someone who would be my equal, my partner in every sense of the word. Someone who would support me, challenge me, and grow with me. Eventually, I met someone who felt different. Our connection was immediate, and our conversations were effortless. She was kind, intelligent, and genuine. We shared similar interests and values, and there was a sense of ease and comfort between us. We took our time getting to know each other, building a foundation of trust and understanding. Our relationship blossomed, and I found myself falling in love again. This time, I was more aware of the effort required to maintain a healthy and fulfilling partnership. I made sure to communicate openly, to express my appreciation, and to nurture the emotional connection between us. The journey to recovery was not without its challenges. After the divorce, I often found myself grappling with a range of emotions: anger, sadness, regret, and even moments of nostalgia. I missed the good times, the moments of laughter and intimacy that we had shared. It was difficult to reconcile those memories with the betrayal and pain that had come later. My friends and family played a crucial role in my healing process. They were there to listen, to offer advice, and to provide a shoulder to lean on. Their unwavering support helped me navigate the dark days and reminded me that I was not alone. They encouraged me to seek therapy and to take the time I needed to heal. Therapy was a lifeline. It provided a safe space to explore my feelings, to understand the dynamics of my past relationship, and to work through the trauma of infidelity. My therapist helped me see that I was not to blame for my ex-wife's choices, that her actions were a reflection of her own issues and not a judgment of my worth. This understanding was liberating and allowed me to start letting go of the anger and resentment. As I began to heal, I focused on rediscovering myself. I started pursuing hobbies and interests that I had neglected over the years. I took up photography, a passion from my youth, and found joy in capturing the beauty of the world around me. I joined a local hiking group, exploring nature and meeting new people who shared my interests. Rebuilding my social life was another important step. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones, expanding my support network. Socializing helped me regain my confidence and reminded me that there was a world beyond the pain of my failed marriage. I attended events, joined clubs, and even tried my hand at online dating, albeit cautiously. The dating world had changed significantly since I was last single, and navigating it was both exciting and daunting. I met a variety of people, each with their own stories and experiences. Some dates were pleasant, others less so, but each one taught me something about myself and what I was looking for in a partner. One particular date stands out in my memory. We met at a quaint cafe, and the conversation flowed easily. She was kind, witty, and shared many of my interests. As we talked, I felt a connection that I hadn't experienced in a long time. We went on several more dates, each one reinforcing the feeling that there was potential for something special. Our relationship grew slowly, but steadily. We took our time getting to know each other, building a foundation of trust and mutual respect. I was more mindful of my own needs and boundaries, ensuring that I didn't lose myself in the relationship as I had in the past. She appreciated my honesty and reciprocated with her own, creating a space where we could both be vulnerable and open. As our bond deepened, I found myself reflecting on the lessons I had learned from my previous marriage. I was determined not to repeat the same mistakes. Communication became a priority, and we made sure to address any issues or concerns as they arose. We supported each other's dreams and ambitions, understanding the importance of individual growth within a partnership. There were moments of doubt and fear, remnants of the trauma I had experienced. But with her patience and understanding, I learned to trust again. She never pressured me, allowing me to heal at my own pace. Her kindness and compassion were a balm to my wounded heart. One evening, as we sat together watching the sunset, I realized how far I had come. The pain of the past no longer held me captive. I was able to appreciate the beauty of the present and look forward to the future with hope and optimism. Our relationship felt different from anything I had experienced before. It was built on a solid foundation of trust, respect, and genuine affection. As time went on, we talked about our future together. Unlike my previous relationship, these discussions were filled with excitement and mutual understanding. We shared our dreams and aspirations, making plans that aligned with both of our visions for the future. It was a partnership in the truest sense of the word, and I felt grateful for the chance to experience such a deep and meaningful connection. Through my journey, I learned the importance of resilience and self-awareness. The experience of betrayal and heartbreak had been painful, but it had also been a catalyst for growth and transformation. I emerged from the ordeal with a clearer understanding of myself and what I wanted in life and love. I often thought about my ex-wife, wondering if she had found the happiness she was searching for. There were moments when I felt a twinge of regret, but I knew that our paths had diverged for a reason. We had both needed to learn and grow, and our separation had been a necessary part of that process. Years later, I could finally look back on my experience with a sense of clarity and acceptance. The pain and betrayal that had once consumed me were now distant memories, lessons learned along the winding road of life. I had found peace within myself and built a life that I was proud of. My new relationship continued to flourish. We supported each other through life's challenges, celebrating the highs and navigating the lows together. We traveled, explored new hobbies, and created a home filled with love and laughter. The intimacy and connection we shared were unlike anything I had known before, a testament to the growth and healing we had both experienced. In moments of quiet reflection, I often thought about the journey that had brought me here. The heartache and turmoil of my past had shaped me into a more resilient and self-aware individual. I had learned to appreciate the importance of emotional intimacy, communication, and mutual respect in a relationship. These were the pillars that now supported the love I had found. My ex-wife remained a figure in my past, a chapter that had closed but left its mark. I occasionally heard about her through mutual friends, snippets of her life that made their way back to me. She had remarried, pursuing her career with the same determination that had once driven her away from me. I hoped she had found the fulfillment she was searching for, and I wished her well. The lessons I had learned extended beyond my romantic relationships. They influenced how I approached friendships, work, and even my relationship with myself. I became more attuned to my own needs and boundaries, understanding the importance of self-care and self-love. I learned to value the people who supported and uplifted me, and to let go of those who did not. One of the most profound realizations was the importance of forgiveness. Forgiving my ex-wife was not about condoning her actions, but about freeing myself from the bitterness and resentment that had weighed me down. It was a difficult and gradual process, but ultimately, it allowed me to move forward with a lighter heart. Forgiving myself was equally important. I had made mistakes, failed to see the signs, and allowed my insecurities to fester. But I was also a victim of circumstances beyond my control. Learning to forgive myself was a crucial step in my healing journey, allowing me to embrace the future without the burden of guilt and regret. My career continued to thrive, and I found new purpose and satisfaction in my work. The challenges I had faced had made me more empathetic and resilient, qualities that served me well in my professional life. I took on leadership roles, mentoring younger colleagues and sharing the lessons I had learned about perseverance and self-awareness. As I looked to the future, I felt a sense of optimism and excitement. Life had taught me that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can choose how we respond. We can choose to let adversity break us, or we can choose to let it shape us into stronger, wiser individuals. I was grateful for the journey, for the pain and the growth it had brought. It had not been an easy path, but it had led me to a place of peace and fulfillment. I had found love again, but more importantly, I had found myself. The experience taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and resilience. It made me realize the importance of choosing a life partner carefully, of nurturing the relationship and not taking it for granted. I learned that true happiness comes from within, from being true to oneself and embracing the journey, no matter how difficult it may be. In the end, I emerged from the ordeal stronger and wiser. I was ready to embrace the future, to build a new life filled with hope, love, and possibility. And as I looked back on my journey, I knew that I had grown, that I had become the person I was meant to be.